Looking at the Markets with David Modell.
Welcome to Looking at the Markets with David Modell. My very special guest today is Mr. Ronnie Moas. He is involved in so many great things. Yes, he's known for making unbelievably accurate predictions in terms of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. He's been right time after time, but he's also involved in other things such as food for the poor, and we're going to be discussing that as well because that's important to Mr. Moas and it's important to me. We'll also talk a little bit about equities and stocks and any ideas or predictions on the direction of the stock market in 2018 and beyond. Mr. Moas, welcome to Looking at the Markets, sir.
Thank you for having me, David.
Thank you for being on here. I know you're a busy man. You've been doing so many interviews, and I've watched probably almost all of them, if not all of them. So, people have questions about cryptos, and we'll jump right into it, and then we'll get into food for the poor and beyond. So there's a well-known Warren Buffett quote. He has, I'm sure you've heard it many times. Mr. Buffett, who I respect very highly, and perhaps you do too, has called Bitcoin a big bubble. And he has actually said, quote, "You can't value Bitcoin because it's not a value-producing asset." What is your response to that, sir?
What is a value-producing asset? My response to that is look at the U.S. dollar. It's dropped 75% of its value since I was born 50 years ago. Gold isn't a value-producing asset. I don't even know how much gold there is in the ground. I know how much Bitcoin there is. And I also know that in the next couple of years, we are going to be in a situation where there are hundreds of millions of account holders around the world trying to get their hands on a few million Bitcoin, and there will be no supply reaction from the supply side of this equation because there can't be. It's a mathematical formula. The supply is capped, and this mind-boggling supply-demand imbalance here is what will drive this price deep into the six figures in the next few years. As far as Warren Buffett goes, with all due respect, he missed a lot of the names that came out of the NASDAQ 20 years ago, and he will be the first to admit that to you.
Interesting.
So I don't expect him to understand or get his arms around this concept either. It's just not his area of expertise.
Right. Yeah, Warren Buffett is known for not getting involved in equities or investments that he doesn't understand thoroughly. So I guess we can't blame him for not getting involved. But for the younger generations, this crypto revolution, that's what I'm calling it, is so exciting. I'm sure you're maybe sick and tired of people asking for price targets, but I got to say it, 2018, what are we looking at here?
Well, I recently raised my price target on Bitcoin from 20,000 to 28,000. That's just for next year. And I imagine I'm probably going to revise it higher as the news headlines come out and as the dominoes and obstacles in crypto's way fall down, I adjust my price target accordingly. If you want to look out 3 years, I see a $150,000 target there. And it's very conservative the way I'm calculating this. We have $200 trillion right now around the world tied up in stocks, cash, bonds, and gold. And all four of them are overvalued. If 2% of that $200 trillion ends up in crypto, you're looking at a $4 trillion market capitalization for the entire space. And that would be almost 7 times where we are today. If Bitcoin holds on to its current market share, it puts the price at $140,000. And that's using a 2% figure. Now, if you want to look out 7 to 10 years, I think the end game here is that Bitcoin will go from where it is now, number 14 in the world on the currency valuation rankings. Out of 193 currencies, Bitcoin is now number 14. I think it's going to number 1. And if it goes to number 1, it would have a market valuation of between $6 and $7 trillion and would tie gold and China at the top of that rankings table. And it would put the price between $300,000 and $400,000, depending on how long it takes to get there and where gold and the Chinese currency are trading at the time. by coincidence, they both have the same valuation right now.
Fascinating. Now, should prospective investors and current investors be concerned? I'm talking about Bitcoin investors long term. Should they be concerned about the possibility of the government creating their own token to compete with that? Because they would have something powerful. They would have a government-backed token. And is that something people should be concerned about?
I'm not too worried about that because there are more than 150 countries in the world. So unless it's China or South Korea or Russia or the United States, I would not be too concerned. And even if one of those countries cracked down or issued their own currency, it would not be too much of a concern of mine, because there's the rest of the world that will pick up that slack and that supply that may get dumped by that particular currency.
Gotcha.
That's what I like about Bitcoin. There's only 21 million. That's the cap. We're at 16 million now, but there are estimates that 4 million or 3 million have been lost. So right now you only have 12 million in circulation. And I would say 2/3 of those aren't even available for sale. I know I'm not selling my Bitcoin and my neighbor is not selling his. So you're looking at maybe 3, 4, 5 million available for sale at any given time. And so no one country is going to be big enough to destroy the supply-demand imbalance that we have here. Yes, it would be a shock. The headline would cause a little bit of a panic. If, God forbid, a couple of big countries come up with a joint statement on the same day, that could be nasty. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Understood. Now, over time, who do you think does better when it comes to Bitcoin investing? A so-called hodler, somebody who just buys and holds for dear life, no matter what comes, or somebody like me who likes to buy the dips? Because I've noticed that Bitcoin comes up, back up, and more every time it dips. Who do you think does better over time?
That's a good question, and I have an answer for you. You have to play Bitcoin the same way you played Amazon during the last 15 years. It went from $20 to $1,150. From $20 to $1,150, even though there were people trying to short the crap out of that for the last 15 years, the entire way on the way up. They said this company is losing money on every book that they sell. And that was the bear argument for many years up until recently. And the way that you made money with Amazon is the same way you make money with Bitcoin. You have to buy it, you have to hold on to it for a few years, and every time there is a nasty correction, you have to add to your position when it goes on sale. When Jamie Dimon made his ridiculous comments back in September, Bitcoin dropped from 3,800 to 3,200 within 24 hours. And I told my subscribers, you have to buy this. Yeah. Guess what? It's up 600% on a fork and split adjusted basis since he said that.
Fantastic. Speaking of your results and your subscribers,
one more thing that's important.
Sure.
I had a girl call me a week or two ago, and she was crying to me on the phone. She says, Ronnie, one of these guys on Twitter who sells Bitcoin sell signals based on a chart pattern told me to get out of Bitcoin when it hit $9,700 last night. And this was a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago. And he says, get out of it. It hit the top of its trading range at 9,700. And if you get out now, you'll be able to buy it back at $7,000 or $8,000 when it corrects. She went to bed at 9,700, exited her position. The next day it hit 11,400. Wow. And today it's at 19,000 and change.
Yeah.
So that's what happens when people try to trade this. It's like the stock market. You can't time the market. You have to know when to get out, when to get in, when to get back out again, when to get back in again, and eventually you will get burned the way this girl did.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can have 75% of your Bitcoin money locked up on a Trezor device, okay? And then you can trade the other 25%. That's okay. If you like the trading game, you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, you have nothing else to do, the Bitcoin market is open, you want to make a couple of trades, that's fine. But 3/4 of your Bitcoin money should probably be locked up in a buy and hold portfolio.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Now, speaking of your subscribers, I'm looking at standpointresearch.com right now. That link is in the description of this video. I want everybody to go visit that. It says right here, looking at your performance page, since 2004, you have beaten the S&P 500 by at least 500 basis points with 66% of your recommendations. No firm has been able to match that accuracy. I think that's fantastic. Now, when people go to your website, what services do you offer? What will they see there?
Well, I put out research via email 4 to 5 times a week. And I put out between 50 and 75 stock and crypto recommendations during the course of the year. I have a top 10 ranking versus more than 4,000 people on Wall Street for my performance the last 10 years. Every single one of the 600 recommendations that I put out since 2008 were time-stamped intraday by at least 4 different newswires, including Briefing.com, Bloomberg, and Dow Jones.
Fantastic.
And I've also given more than 100 television, newspaper, radio, and magazine interviews. Just in the last few weeks, I was on CNN, CNBC, Bloomberg, Barron's, BNN, CBC, and Fox with Maria Bartiromo just this past week. I just got off CNBC Asia. I did a Skype interview with CNBC Asia about an hour ago, and that video will post on their website in the next hour or two.
And I'm very fortunate to have you here with me for my little YouTube channel. So once again, thank you for doing this.
Actually, more people watch your YouTube channel than some of those names that I just mentioned. Yeah. Trust me.
Okay. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm looking at the services you offer. You have services not only for institutions, but also for individuals. You have basic and premium options for members. It is affordable. I know that you will tailor it according to, what people can afford and what is reasonable for them. So yes. I think that's really fantastic.
Yes.
Excellent. Just want to talk about equities in general for a moment. I mean, 2017 has benefited almost everybody except anybody who shorted just about anything in the equities markets.
Right.
The VIX is at all-time lows. It's gone below 9 a couple times this year. Unbelievable. I don't know. Can this continue? Is it sustainable, or do people just need to get the heck out of stocks right now?
I think if you took some money off the table, you would not regret doing so. I think that there might be another 6-8% upside here, but the downside is double or triple that. What's funny is I actually put out a poll on my Twitter page yesterday. I will be getting my 20,000th follower on Twitter next week sometime.
Yes.
And the poll was, what do you think will hit 30,000 first? The number of Twitter followers that I have, the Dow Jones or Bitcoin. And 2/3 of the people, it was like 66% of the people felt that we would hit 30,000 on Bitcoin first. But 30% of the people thought I would hit my 30,000th follower first. Only 3% of the 700 people that voted thought the Dow Jones would hit 30,000 before Bitcoin and my follower count does, which is really stunning because we're already above 25,000 on Dow Jones.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I think this market is overvalued. My ideas are generated by a 155 variable computer model that took me 5 years to develop. And 3/4 of the names are overvalued. And then from what remains, most of those names are value traps or fairly valued. 90% of the names in the S&P 500, I won't even look at because I'm a value guy.
Right. As am I. I love low prices. That's just me. And good valuations. So,
now, one thing that's important, I'm sorry important for me to add.
Sure.
I think the stock market will double from where we are in the next 20 years. Okay. Mm-hmm. The problem is we could get a nasty correction in the next year or two. So the question is, do you want to try to pull out and hope that you get to buy those names back at a lower price? or do you want to just stick it out and stay in the game and not check your statement on a regular basis?
Right.
So market timing is something that historically does not work very well. But I think the odds are probably tipped in your favor, especially if you rotate some money into crypto, that chances are you're not going to regret that trade in the near term.
Yeah. I tend to agree that right now people getting into equities are, as the old saying goes, picking up nickels in front of a steamroller. I think that cutting back on exposure to equities, there's nothing wrong with that. Cash is king, and if cash is king, then maybe cryptocurrencies are even higher than the king. So,
right.
Yeah, totally agree. And by the way, you touched upon your Twitter account. People should visit that as soon as they're done watching this. It is at Ronnie Moas, and I will put that link in the description and on the screen right now as well. All right, I wanted to talk about something super important. There are things more important than getting rich on cryptos and equities, and that is helping others, something that you've been passionate about. I have a master's degree in education. I'm a former elementary school teacher, so I know that you and I have something in common. We're not in this for the money. We're in this because we want to help people. That's just our personality as educators in the world. I'm going to put a link in the description as well for your particular link for foodforthepoor.org. And I'm actually looking at I see your goal on Food for the Poor is $10 million. You've got 555 donations so far, and that's what's listed. It'll probably be updated pretty soon. So what is this initiative all about?
No, that's an updated total. I've already raised more than $100,000. We got donation number 555 a few minutes ago, but this is just starting to gain momentum. I have some celebrities on board now that will be helping me drive people to this page. And I've done a lot of interviews recently. An interview that I did with BNN Canada a week ago has already been seen more than 280,000 times on YouTube. So this is starting to gain a lot of momentum, this fundraiser that I'm doing for Food for the Poor. It is a magnificent charity. They distributed last year $1 billion in humanitarian aid. Administrative expenses were less than 5%. It's a 5-star charity that was established in 1982. Their headquarters is a few minutes away from where I live. I live in Miami Beach. Their headquarters is in Coconut Creek. I have given so much of my own time and money to this charity over the years that the executive director took me with him as his special guest to Haiti a few months ago. Yeah. And I got to see how people live on $3 a day and how children are just starving to death there. And, you donate $100 to this fundraising page that I have, it pays for 400 pounds of rice and beans. And that's enough to keep 2 starving children alive for an entire year. For $3,600, we can build a 400 square foot concrete home and take a family of 6 people off the street.
Yeah. That's amazing. I figure anybody out there who has benefited from the cryptocurrency explosion, if you've doubled your money, as many tripled, or if you've had some 10-baggers, why not give back some? I figure.
Exactly.
I hope
to whom much is given, much is expected. Yeah. It's straight from the Bible, and people have no excuse. If they're following me on Twitter and they haven't paid for my subscription service, the very least they could do is give something to the charity.
It's the least that anybody could do. We're not talking about a massive donation. It's affordable for just about anybody. So please go to that, even if just a few, and I hope more than a few people, respond to this and donate. You're going to probably save some lives. I mean, this is an organization that offers food, housing, clean water, education, emergency relief, and more, fighting poverty in 17 countries in the Caribbean and Latin America. So please donate, and that link again is in the description of this.
And by the way, David, we did add Puerto Rico to that list after the recent hurricane that struck there.
I think that's great. Fantastic. That is so important. So I want to see, folks, if you're watching this, please give. Do it. Just do it. Don't think so much. All right. And finally, want to talk about the so-called altcoins. Which is a funny name because alt sounds like alternative, although Bitcoin itself is the alternative. But people who feel like they maybe missed the bus on Bitcoin, they're getting involved in some altcoins. Ripple, which was specifically mentioned by Bill Gates. Ethereum seems to be powerful. Litecoin seems to be more affordable, perhaps, than Bitcoin to some people. I get it. Are there any altcoins that you're particularly excited about right now?
Well, the problem is that I've recommended 5 altcoins recently, and they have all jumped by between 150 and 800%. So obviously, I don't feel the same way about them now as I did a few months ago. I recommended Cardano to my subscribers 3 weeks ago, and it's already up 700%. I recommended Stellar 2 days before that, and it's also up several 100%. Monero was another recommendation I put out. It was trading below $100 at the time. Now it's trading above $300. Litecoin and Ethereum were 2 other names that I've recommended. Both of those are up sharply. I don't think Bitcoin is in a bubble, but I am a little bit concerned once you go below Bitcoin that a rising tide is lifting all boats right now. And a lot of these names in the top 50 that have market caps of $500 million, $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion are not worth anywhere near that. And that could be an accident waiting to happen. You have to be very careful with the altcoins.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Personally, I would be taking money off the table right now and selling a little bit into this rally. If you're up 500%, take 20% off the table, and then you're playing with house money and you're not risking any of your own initial investment. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered and turned into bacon. Yeah. That's what they say on Wall Street, and it applies to the altcoins right now.
Very true. So you're not just an unrestrained bull, you're exercising caution, you know when to take profits. That's hugely important. It's not just the entry strategy, it's the exit strategy. And you can find all of that both with the free content as well as the premium services on standpointresearch.com. People should check that out. Also, once again, the Twitter is at Ronnie Moas, RONNIEMOAS. That's all in the description and on your screen right now. Mr. Moas, I know your time is valuable. I'll wrap it up, but is there anything else you wanted to say to my audience?
No, I think we did. We covered a lot of ground, and we could leave something for next time. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my goodness. There might be a next time. I'm excited. That's fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Moas, for joining me. You're welcome back anytime, sir, on Looking at the Markets.
Thank you, David.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.